Greetings, Metanthropes. I am John, your host and narrator, and welcome to an official Metanthropes Anthologies live stream where we talk about the lore and the world building and the mythos and world and generally everything that has to do with lore, fantasy, and storytelling of our game Metanthropes. Hello from Exotic Salamina, says Ziggy. So nice of you to have you with us. As you can see, all the chat is above me, everything you say, all the comments, Q&A, all the things. I am here for you. And today is all about exploring the lore and world building of Metanthropes. We have many wonderful live streams in store for you, including the Legit Cast, which is, let me see over here, which is, there you go, which is a ZineQuest 2025 creator podcast where I get to sit down and talk about with other amazing creatives participating in ZineQuest 2025. We're also gonna have some live events where we playtest and have fun with our backers and community through live stream live sessions where you get to play PvE, including like a boss fight against a huge animated token we have of our concert master Samsiel. As you can see on the top of your page, I think it's over here, you can see live the live updates of our Kickstarter campaign. So if you want to back us while we're live, you're gonna see me scream out loud on the screen, so it might be fun. So definitely worth checking that out if you're convinced, and if you're not convinced, we're here to talk about the game, the world building, and the lore. That's exactly what today is about. So sit tight, maybe turn off the lights a bit, not that much, as we are going to discuss about dark stories. We're going to discuss about tales about death, forbidden knowledge, immortality, memory, ghosts of the past, and many wonderful, dark, bittersweet things, but also wondrous and with historical interest. So sit back, enjoy, relax, and let me take you to far places beyond. Let me change also the atmosphere for the appropriate journey we're about to undertake. Let me double check that the music volume is fine. If you have any questions or if you want me to say, hey John, can you drop the music a little bit? If you're in the audience, go ahead and drop it on chat. If you have questions about Nether, lore building, the characters, the locations, and the dimensions we're gonna discuss, I am all ears, I'm all here for you, not only to answer your questions, but maybe, just maybe, incorporate your ideas into our game. So, Metanthropes Anthologies is an anthology series of 3 different zines, each one including their own special story, their locations, their missions, and it brings totally different aesthetics and dynamics and opportunities for roleplay and adventure. Today is gonna be all about Nether, the darker of the 3, and each of those zines sends players to missions across different timelines, and through those missions, the players uncover the mythos of Metanthropes, the secrets that entails, and while discovering and unlocking the extraordinary within. And you can combine all those 3 zines to create a non-linear saga, promising dozens of hours of storytelling and game time, and what we feel is a multiversal tale like no other. We honestly feel that, and we are here today and through this campaign to communicate that to you and make you on board. So a little premise about the Nether zine. Enter a timeline set in the distant past, where lost lore, forgotten souls, and shattered histories linger in the darkness. Unveil the ploy of the concert master Akkadi, a brilliant madman hell-bent on seeking forbidden knowledge, even if it means setting the whole multiverse on fire. So what does the Concert Master exactly mean? Concert Master is the most powerful metanthrope of a single timeline. That means like, yeah, but that does not necessarily mean the most powerful entity of them all in that particular timeline. And okay, there you go. There we go. Doing some adjustments to the voice. Hope it's getting out there fine for you to sit back and enjoy my storytelling. So yeah, Concert Masters are the most powerful metanthropes, but not necessarily the most powerful being, as the players of this anthology series will discover one way or another. And where does this particular story takes us? Discover the Library of Alexandria, a hub of a multiversal faction of scholars, descendants of a fabled lineage of the Sumerian kings, it's gonna talk a lot about today, who have subtly guided humanity and civilization across countless timelines. They are the lore keepers and safeguarding theorems and inventions erased by time. During that mission, you will get to recover ancient scrolls, forsaken relics, and face the ghosts of your past. You will encounter eternal souls of the history's brightest minds, and also the looming incarnation of annihilation, which black flames engulfs all and whoever and those engulfed forever forgotten. So definitely this setup brings a dark vibe. This setup is all about death, immortality, knowledge, inventions, discoveries, and sorts. And today we're going to discuss about the centerfold character of this story, the Concert Master Akkadi, the dimension of Nether itself, and the multiversal faction of the Sumerian kings operating in locations such as the Library of Alexandria. So it's more of an in-depth lore episode rather than scratching the surface. So yeah, prepare to be amazed. So let's start with our Concert Master Akkadi. We're talking about an entity which has lived for tens of thousands of years with multiple metapowers, but even more so, a plethora of knowledge which is uncanny, like second to none. And for some reason, the mission briefing goes that Magistrate Akkadi, as is also known the Concert Master Akkadi, is in charge of one of those hubs that we talked about earlier, the multiversal hubs of the Sumerian kings, specifically the Library of Alexandria. And there he's given disciples time and resources from the multiversal faction to conduct experiments, research, and discover secrets of the multiverse, as much as most hubs of those multiversal faction Sumerian kings type of fellas. The interesting part is, and the mysterious part should I say, is that some time ago, in a timeless setting, time doesn't really matter, it's immutable, it's irrelevant, it's relative rather. And some time ago, this particular Library of Alexandria set in a particular timeline has gone AWOL, has gone dark, has cut off all communications with the rest of the multiversal faction. And therefore, the mission briefing is given to you by a very high-ranked Sumerian king to find that Concert Master Akkadi, which is also a member of those Sumerian kings, and figure out why they shut off, why ghosting us with a call, pun intended, why they went dark, why they cut off all communications, excommunicado, and there must be a suspicious reason, not all too well, I'm pretty sure. And the players are not meant to know much more about Akkadi or the situation there. But we are going to dig deep, and at some point we're going to enter spoiler territory for the story, for those that want to have the pure experience and not spoil the story, even though it's not a pre-made story, which is like 1, 2, 3, but rather it presents interesting characters, interesting locations, and interesting possibilities like resolutions to scenes or endings. And then the narrator and the group playing the game takes it from there and build their own story. This is exactly the cornerstone, I think it's called, that this type of anthology stories are being made and are meant to be. And where to begin all those dark, beautiful tales? Let's start with the Nether dimension. Since the name of the zine itself is Nether, I find it most appropriate to start from this dimension. And even though it's a deep dive into lore, I will briefly elaborate that the timeline is everything that exists in the in a singular chronological event from the Big Bang up until the inevitable end of a single universe, essentially. Inside its timeline, there can exist multiple different dimensions that are unbeknownst to us, purely merely humans. And one of those dimensions is the Nether dimension, a dimension of what was but is no more. This one is a temporal realm, so it's a dimension based upon a specific point in time, and in this case, the past. And everything that resides in Nether is something that once existed in materia, in like the physical realm, the real life, in-game real life, should I say, but no longer does. So this could be the souls of the deceased, building structures, items, pages, single pages of books that are destroyed, and destroyed, ravaged lands that have, through terraforming over the years, have changed. When you go to Nether, you'll find them as they were. And most importantly, conceptually at least, lost and forgotten ideas, tales, and theorems of the past, which no one now lives to remember them, as notions, maybe even as incarnated entities, exist in the Nether dimension. So, is it like time traveling when you go to Nether? No, it's a parallel dimension that exists with the materia, which is like reality universe, physical dimension. And it exists only in the past, and you won't find the souls of anyone living there, just the dead. And you won't find anything that's being constructed here, only the destroyed parts of the real world exist there. So for example, a building that exists in the real life all too well, again in materia should I say, let's go with materia from now on. It's all fine and there until it's destroyed one day by a huge earthquake, and then it's being rebuilt, deconstructed and reconstructed, as opposed in Nether, and it now exists in Nether and you can step upon and see it as it was, although everything is covered in the black flames of Nether. So everything that the more that something is being forgotten, how it looked like, who it was, what it was, the more it becomes covered in black flames, up until to the point that's completely forgotten. No one living, not a living soul remembers it, and now it's one with the ashes and the black fires of Nether. Those black fires that do not burn, they do not either produce heat, but rather they are cold and unforgiving. They are cold and let me double check that I didn't mess something out. There you go. They're cold, and whoever becomes engulfed by them, instead of getting burned, receives like amnesia, loses their memory, and even the others might forget that this person existed if it becomes fully engulfed. So it's a beautiful realm to tell happy tales. But it's not, for me, it's just a dark realm. It's all about death, because all about history. It's all about discovering ideas, unraveling mysteries, secrets. So something that no evidence, no file of evidence now remains after the Great Fire to figure out who the serial killer is. You can go to Nether and find not only the victims and talk of the serial killer, but also those burned documents that will exist in physical form inside Nether. You'll be able to scrap through them, read them, but if you try to take them through that portal again in the physical realm, they will vanish into ashes, because it's not a simple task to resurrect something, whether living or inanimate. So it's one dimension that's all mixed up together, all the souls of the dead, from the very firstborn to Napoleon to someone who died yesterday, and all the beings will be destroyed, all together, mashed up in a whole. No. We have leathers. We have layers of Nether. So imagine, like, the first layer of Nether is a few seconds or moments before in reality. Almost indistinguishable. Maybe those like very experienced cosmonaut will notice some ashes falling or some black, like tiny flames flickering in the vast darkness, and will realize, oh, this is not reality. It's not just an empty place with no souls or just souls of the dead. This is definitely Nether. But the lower you go to the layers, the more visible it is, and the more you can feel it, that you are in a dark new realm. Speaking of what's up with the music, and so although they are finite, the number of the layers, it's vast and it goes very deep. In fact, theoretically, goes all the way deep to the last layer of Nether, which is the beginning of time, really, if you go all that back. Beginning of time in that particular timeline, at least. There, and the lower you go in those layers, all the more the black flames will be present, so there will be more dangers, there will be more powerful entities and spirits found there, which we're gonna discuss pretty soon. And you will feel all the more heavier, and destiny will no longer be at your side. You won't be able to heal. Nothing there will be able to be repaired, and you will conceive no new ideas and notions whilst down there. This is a very challenging part to roleplay, I suppose, but I mean, like, if you're planning to make your next big eureka on Nether, maybe just take the knowledge of Nether and get out of there and spend some time on real life, relax, and maybe the idea will come to you. Oh wow! Critical out of nowhere! Out of nowhere, Ziggy the Vildo wakes up Ryuk Stardust and rolls a critical success to the chat. Woo! Sending shockwaves of excitement across our potent 3-member viewership. Congratulations, Ziggy. That was a magnificent roll. And so many Metanthropes visit Nether to learn from history and unravel those unsolved mysteries, discover lost lore, and some see it as a gloomy, dark place full of regret and despair, while others view it as a walk through history and a revelation. So we can go from layer 1, as I see here in the stats, like up to a day into the past, up to the final 10th layer, which is up to 13.8, almost 14 billion years ago, the beginning of time. Obviously, to go that deep won't be easy, almost impossible. And while you're there, focused actions which require you channeling, like concentrating on something, happen faster, because in a way, let me double check that actually. No, maybe I shouldn't go there. We will get there when we go to Ether, maybe. another day. I got a bit confused, apologies. Let's go back, let's leave the game design stuff outside, but let's go deep into lore and world building and story time. So let's talk about the senses. What exactly do you see, hear, smell, and all that good senses tell you when you're down there? Well, depending on the layer, on Nether, depending on the layer on Nether, your senses perceive differently things, your surroundings. There is always an ever-present falling ash. Sometimes it might be almost invisible next to a building being constructed or something, and you think it's merely dust, but instead they are the ashes, the remains of the black flames. Really, these ashes are remnants of memory, and these fires, those black flames that we described, slowly fill the atmosphere the lower you go. And if you go all the way back where like Earth was barely recognizable as it is now, all the land will be completely covered in black flames. So it would be very difficult as a metanthrope and a cosmonaut to navigate and find safe passage there. And let's talk about the environment. So it has oxygen there, you can breathe normally, but the temperature changes the lower you go. The lower you go, the colder it is, up to reaching actually freezing cold, like being in the vacuum of space. And although you find yourself completely covered in black flames, you will be freezing to death instead of burning. And depending again, weather effects exist on Nether. For an instance, a snowy winter day might correspond, like in the material dimension, might be correspondent, like the same passing of seasons happening when supposed to happen in Nether. Visitors also feel a heavier gravitational pull, which affects not only souls but inanimate objects. So if you try to throw a stone very far while being deep in Nether, it will fall much quicker into the ground. So movement eventually starts to become difficult there. You won't be able to walk without any use of serious meta powers. And unfortunately, you won't be able to heal yourself while in Nether, which makes it very, very, very difficult to survive there for long. No biological life can be born, nothing new can be created or repaired. And so that's with the gloomy stuff. As for the more wondrous stuff, let's get into the items and locations that can be found there. So if we take into account that everything that has been destroyed exists there, you know that many wonders can be found. Let's start with some obvious, like the 7 wonders of the world, including the Library of Alexandria. But it's not the Library of Alexandria. If you go to ancient Greece and Nether, in the appropriate layer, in Rhodos, you will find this colossal statue of the Titan Colossus of Rhodos, which entire ships could go underneath the legs of these wondrous wonders of the world, actually one of the 7 actual wonders. And specifically the Library of Alexandria, which we will visit with this particular mission, and many others. There are rumors that suggest that there are places which contain recipes, formulas, maps, and designs lost to history, which can be of paramount importance. There are nether gates that can be found, which allow cosmonauts to visit deeper layers, but it's unknown to most. When do they open, how long do they last, and where do they open? All these super important questions are not for everyone to know, but those very knowledgeable cosmonauts and daring explorers, and I suppose most members of the Sumerian kings, will have a good understanding of how to navigate this God-forsaken realm, should I say. It's theorized that these portals open to locations where significant events in the past have transpired without entering the spoiler territory. So imagine all the types of devices, weapons, ideas, theorems, journals, papyrus, maps, and all these to secret locations. All those stuffs can be found, and it's up for the narrator to conjure and the player to conjure and players to discover and explore. What are the characters and entities that can be found down there? And so entities that exist in the material dimension do not exist in Nether. So anyone who is living, you won't find there. Even if you were physically present in the same location, again, like 5 minutes ago, again, it's not time travel. If you haven't died, your soul does not exist in Nether. That's simple. So the majority of souls that exist there are those that have died. And I suppose the way that, you know, human demographics work, the majority are the souls of the Arriven. These are the souls of those who have just died and they're being transferred there, begin a new life as an Arriven spirit. These poor melancholic entities are often trying to remember and realize what happened. They also try their best to remain within their loved ones' memories, and or else they will be forgotten. So if you've been a douche all your life and nobody likes, nobody remembers. Actually, you might have been terrible. As long as they remember you people, it works. Your spirit will linger on. So love is a very powerful thing, but it's not enough. You need to be remembered first before you need to be loved or hated. So memory is the number one resource, I suppose, in Nether. So those are even, if they, you know, make it out there in the new existence, and somehow they make sure that they have like a generational memory, should I say, like their offsprings remember them, or even better if they become like a famous person which will not be forgotten anytime soon in history, they start to evolve into something more. So let's talk about serial killers. We will get to serial killers pretty soon. Well, the victims of the Ziggy Tevildo asks about serial killers. The victims definitely go and become Arriven, and like if their throat was cut, maybe they will have like a few black flames instead of blood coming out. But until they figure this out, they might not even remember how they died. But yeah, we will get to serial killers because there's an interesting fact there. But yeah, if you start to accumulate memory, people remembering you generation past, and become like a historical figure, you become stronger in Nether. You can become something that's called an anima, for starters, become slowly an internal spirit. So for example, Caesar, you know, Napoleon, Cleopatra, I don't know, the most famous people of the world that, you know, every child growing up might hear their tales, no matter the generation, the location, and this and that. These are definitely the most powerful, not the most powerful, among the most, like the most powerful anima level entities that exist out there. And now we can start. And oh yeah, a few more things about them. They have powers. They have actual very powerful meta powers, high leveled over Nether, but other things as well, over dark energy, which is like the theoretical physics construct, I suppose, which is like energy which exists out there. We'll talk a little bit about more dark matter pretty soon, but they will also be able to become invisible, to create like obviously control fires and black flames, and they will even be able to influence the materia, physical world, by spying on the material world through statutes that built in their honor. So, for example, the Vatican City in Rome, which is full, in Italy, which is full of statues. It's like a parade of spirits, of anima spirits, eternal spirits in Nether. All they go there to spy upon the living because they would certainly have a statue. And Caesar, for example, have multiple statues. So Caesar is powerful. The anima, eternal spirit of Caesar is powerful in the Nether location of Italy, I suppose, and worldwide, because he can spy in real life from location. But they're not just peeping tomes, but some powerful animals are able to manifest themselves into reality, causing all sorts of traumatic episodes to the pure humans who see that, even if they are invisible, if they feel that manifestation of a powerful anima in our world. Something that poor Arivents are not able to. Although as much as they want to see their loved ones for one last time, the poor Arivent does not have the power level to do so, but the animals do. But it doesn't just end there, as you can find even more powerful entities as we get into the realm of incarnations, which is like incarnated beings of a concept that we have, of a personification, like of an idea. So as Ziggy mentioned, serial killers have like this cool idea for you. Not just serial killers, but serial killers who are not caught. Okay, so Jack the Ripper, let's say the most classical, Zodiac, all those serial killers. Nobody knows who they are, but everybody remembers them in a way. Let's say with Jack the Ripper, which is very, very famous personality. Jack the Ripper exists not just an anima, but almost as an incarnation of the murderer who you cannot catch, or something, or something like the incarnation of forgotten death. I don't know. It's up to the narrators to create their own. We have certainly a few ready for you, like the incarnation of annihilation, which is a very spooky foe and a very powerful foe. And you can create intermediate between animals in so powerful incarnations with, I am the incarnation of the first person that was born. That first person that was born definitely was born. Nobody does remember them, but it definitely existed. Everyone knows like the idea of a first person born. There must have been one. So it is like an incarnation concept there, taking shape and energy and form. Other than the extra-dimensional entities which exist there, you might also find other cosmonauts, other metanthropes traveling there, especially if you go to those hub locations, these node locations, of get out of here, you casting. Tip viewers, Dreambo, get out of here. Sort of moderation. Anyway, if a mod can kill that spammer, do so. And yeah, it is really cool, Ziggy. And Ziggies. And kisses to Ziggy. And yeah, definitely the Sumerian kings, a lot of Sumerian kings can be found there. So what are the secrets we may discover generally in Nether without going into spoiler territory of our story just yet? And let me double check something. Yeah, we're cool. Secrets. So it's all about secrets. So some daring metanthropes, cosmonauts should I say, explorers of the unknown, have figured out that the usage of some metapowers have different outcome in Nether. Some are more powerful, some are less. Enchanted metapowers could include any metapowers that has to do with past, like retrocognition, getting like knowledge, knowing the past, or ancestral communication, where you talk with your ancestors. If you are about to talk with your ancestors and you are in Nether where your ancestors are, the narrator must give you huge bonuses to your use of ancestral connection metapower. Another example, which many who are not very attuned, keen with science and physics, have discovered that the metapower of controlled dark matter also is augmented. Now, getting into the, I guess, spoiler territory for the whole world building, the black flames of Nether is what we call in real life dark matter. So bear with me as I will mix pseudoscience and world building and mythology to tell you what's up with my game. So in real life, scientists have realized that only 5% of the whole energy of the universe is what we call actual matter, and the vast majority, like the 70%, the rest is dark energy, which is something else, not dark matter, and the rest 25% of something is dark matter. What we know about it, it's invisible. Maybe it has to do something with quantum gravity, and to my knowledge, as John, as like a fan of physics, I have no idea about physics, I was very bad at school at physics, but as a fan of theoretical physics, that is where I take inspiration from science, and I merge it with the black flames of Nether, which we discussed is basically covers anything that's been completely forgotten, completely destroyed, or completely died, or completely dead, completely kaput. So imagine a universe, if 5% is our matter, 25% could be all that has been destroyed prior to the 5% existing matter, living, should I say, or existing matter. That would make much more sense if I talked about the other part of the equation, which is dark energy and the white waters of ether, the other dimension. But I will leave those daring revelations and connections for the last lore live stream, where we're gonna talk about the veil and the overarching storyline, which is on the 23rd of February. So going back there so you can see live reactions. Again, if you're watching us and considering of backing this campaign, you can do so now live, and you shall see a live reaction from the creator giving you lore. It will be fun. Please consider it. Going back to the pseudoscience and world building. So, for whatever reason, when you activate your controlled dark matter metapowers in Nether, has a more powerful effect, thus connecting those two energies, concepts together. On the other hand, those metapowers who rely on the future, like and future type energies, like precognition, I see the future, sixth sense, I get flashes of this and that coming from the future. And as we discussed, dark energy projection, which is about dark energy, which is the other side of the yin and yang. Those metapowers have like penalties when being used in Nether, which also interconnect some things for the narrators to discover and create and incorporate into their world building. So there are many historical and renowned historical figures, and they're very visible and like recognizable by their flames, their black flames. Like their whole extent is covered with those black flames. The more powerful they become, and the more people, I guess, remember them, learn about them, and keep remembering them. And some spirits there are driven by regret, vengeance, sorrow, but others start to raise their ranks, accept these newfound locations, especially spirits collaborating with the Sumerian kings. For example, a small spoiler, I suppose, about an NPC about Nether is that one of the NPCs there is the spirit, the anima, should I say, of Eratosthenes, who is like an ancient Greek philosopher and inventor and polymath, really, one of the students of the great Aristotle. And you can have all sorts of interesting conversations with that spirit, as it has transcended from the mere chief librarian of the Library of Alexandria when it was living, But now, as an unliving entity who has passed decades in this newfound nature, knows English, so knows about like the multiverse, knows about other timelines, and has learned like books written in his future, and then learned languages that will be invented in his future. Okay, the English will be able to communicate with most Metathrop characters that don't know, like ancient Greek or Egyptian or whatnot. And yeah, so there's definitely this threshold between animals and just the Ariven. And, you know, there are definitely politics and definitely, you know, newfound aspirations and quests to be remembered and to, you know, save your like lineage from across death. There are many wondrous quests, or the most maybe like cool of them all, like bring someone from the dead back to the living, or recover like an artifact that's been completely destroyed and find a way to bring it back to reality through Nether. And then also there can be spirits that transform into collective of ideas and mysteries, or like it could be like an entire chapel of lost memories consuming other spirits, and even unfortunate cosmonauts to gain power. Oh wow, we have been raided by Scoon's Tavern. Greetings and welcome, friends. Welcome to this lore live stream where we talk about the lore of Metanthropes, specifically the dark dimension of Nether, the realm of death and forbidden knowledge. Thank you so much for joining us. We have played Metanthropes together, and we have played the introductory, and now we are on the next step for Metanthropes, which is the Anthology series. So right now we're discussing about Nether, a timeline set in the distant past where lost lore, forgotten souls, and shattered histories linger in the darkness. So we already covered the basics rules of that dimension, and now we're gonna get into the depth of the multiversal faction that exists behind it. So the idea about this multiversal faction was based upon a real-life idea, a real-life mythos, a real-life story. So discovering in ancient Mesopotamia, they discovered from the ancient Mesopotamia era like huge tablets which had like names of kings, Sumerian kings, who, as the story suggests, have lived for tens of thousands of years. Names like Alulim and Galaganar, all those names are in history alive. You can check them out. It is like real life fiction, real life stories, real life world building. So I took this idea and said, whoa, what about those were actual Metanthropes who are immortal, have the immortality meta power, easy, and they actually have lived those tens of thousands of years, and they visit timelines and guide humanity, you know, through the shadows. But most importantly, they're not the absolute benefactors or anything. Most likely gather information in the form of analog information like scrolls and papyrus and other stuff. We'll describe later why not digital information, why it doesn't work for them. And they have these hubs of the Sumerian kings, those node locations, which they can visit, deposit their knowledge, and they safeguard basically knowledge not from a singular timeline but across many timelines, like theorems discovered in another timeline, or like some ancient secret that must be preserved and no one else must figure it out. They will store it in a location like the Library of Alexandria, which is the most important location of Nether, our Nether Zine and story. So the Sumerian kings are all about Nether, all about having these secret locations across space and time where they store their information. And this very idea also comes from real life, from the real life Library of Alexandria, where I heard this fascinating story that any ship that went through this very prosperous and important hub of the Antiquities era, like not hub, but also like a dock, by rule of law, if the ship had any scrolls of any kind inside, the guards, the officials of the city would come, they will take your scrolls, even if it's your personal journal, which you barely, ting, I suppose, or written, started to write, they will take it, copy it, and give you back the copies. That's what I've heard, and I find it fascinating. So they not only they store all the knowledge of everybody who goes there, they keep the originals. So if you have like any mutations to text, let's say, they did it on purpose. And so take this concept into a multiversal concept, kick it up a notch, and I started thinking about how would those multiversal hubs of information would operate. There had to be something that they could, as the Sumerian kings, could easily find and discover. So the Library of Alexandria, one of the 7 wonders of the world, the biggest library and storage of knowledge that ever existed, is a good starting point. But when we're talking about layers of Nether, we have like an entire timeline. When am I supposed to go there? That's easy if you are a member of the Sumerian kings, like a code, like spies who have their own secret handshakes and all. One of them is that you go always when the first great fire in the library happened, where most of the, or like part, again, it's like ancient history, we can't know for sure, but like a large part of it has been burned. It's like a perfect location in space and time now to know where to visit and to find your brethren, comrades, like Maderi, what's the word? Anyway, like the other Sumerian kings. So, yeah, there are many others, and a few of them, some super secret surprises are part of the story, and the players may or may not visit. I've played these Anthologies sagas at least 2 times. In some cases, you go down the rabbit hole, in others you do what you feel like. So there are many locations, interesting locations besides the Library of Alexandria, but I'm not gonna fully disclose for anyone who wants to enjoy those stories with a pure experience. And so yeah, those Sumerian kings, the story goes, let's go to story time, that when the orchestrators of the cosmic symphony try to conceive where it all began, it created the grand paradox which created the multiverse through consciousness, and through the consciousness initially, even before it began doing consciousness thing, started hearing this cosmic theory. Why I'm telling you this confusing but I hope fascinating information? Because when the great nova happened and all the timelines started to spread across all locations, like a spherical nova, where every like dot is a timeline spreading throughout space and time, the Sumerian kings were fascinated to, like the orchestrators, I suppose, who created the Sumerian king factions, were fascinated with the timeline, where do the old timelines begin. So they're fascinated with history and not what lies at the end, but they think that the great questions, the grand questions that the Metanthropes are trying to answer, and the key to defeating the omni-threats of the multiverse that exist out there for the Sumerian kings exist going backwards, not going forwards, going where you began, not where you're about to end. And only through knowing history you can change the future and all that. Great sayings about the importance of knowing history. And where we at time and excitement? Are we excited, chat? Have a woo! Who's with me? Who's excited to hear some more stories? Who's excited to enter maybe the spoiler territory? let's get into more epic stuff, storytelling, and as we enter like the last part of this live stream, not this type of a build up. Let's go to this one, and so yeah, let's talk about a little bit of spoiler territory. Again, these are not pre-made stories, so I cannot really spoil you the ending, because the ending you create. Again, we will present interesting characters, interesting locations, and interesting resolutions. You figure it out on your own. As for the main premise, obviously set in the past, in the timeline set in the past, but also in a dimension very specifically tied to the past, which is Nether. And there the players will see the ancient world. They're free to, communicate with the merchants and the construction workers reconstructing the destroyed Library of Alexandria, because they're going to enter Nether the exact moment that they should, a little after the Great Fire of the Library of Alexandria. There will be contact with various agents of maybe more than one multiversal faction, so there's always this underlying multiversal geopolitical thingy going on. Even if your characters and players are not interested about it, there are always agents of the Metanthrope agents of the multiverse operating and doing, agent stuff, I suppose. And they will eventually enter the Library of Alexandria, where the players will be able to actually find theorems and ideas and many cool stuff, which they will be on the VTT, Foundry VTT Premium module as journals, which you can read, and on the Zine, stuff that you can actually read, but not just we will have short paragraphs. Let me see if I can find one really quick. We're gonna have short paragraphs, which gonna have mix actual things, actual theorems, theses, and inventions we speculate they were actually burned in the fires of the Great Fire of Library of Alexandria, which happened by mistake, by the way. Julius Caesar wanted just to burn his fleet to escape or something, and the Great Fire spread, and the poor old library was found in between. And yeah, I'm getting there to where I want to go. Library. There you go. So we have things like the Codex of Celestial Mechanisms. We have the Tome of Forgotten Pantheon. We have the Alchemical Codex of Thalis, one of the seven wise men of history. We have the Blueprints of Daedalus, the father of Icarus. Have advanced architectural manuscripts with machines far beyond his era. We have many inventions, including the Antikythera mechanism, the full Antikythera mechanism. We have a Pythagorean harmonic engine, which is sound-based technology. We have the solar desalinator, which is a device created to purify sea water. Some of these ideas, but also have multiversal codexes. So we have some ideas which are inspired by real life and what might speculative have been burned in the fire of Library of Alexandria, but also mix it up with multiversal fiction and world building and lore of Metanthropes. You have interesting things to write, but also create, because we're gonna briefly mention, as we have a live stream all about that set in the 16th of February, 7 days from now, where we talk about our add-ons and our special add-ons, which allow you to incorporate your ideas to the lore of the game. So without getting into much depth, you will be able to create your own theorems, your own devices with weird steampunk technologies, or like a map with the secret locations, that you can eternalize it into the zine format, the printed real life format. I'm talking about the zine that you could be holding, And not just you, every member, every member of the community, every fan of Metanthropes will be also get a chance to see your ideas. We feel that's a fascinating concept, and we sincerely hope that you will embrace it, whether with the lore keeper reward level or with the lore add-on. Check it out definitely. And you can also even create assets which are part of the VTT. You can create like your own strange devices or like secret locations. It's fascinating stuff. I hope you get a chance to check this out and become intrigued yourself. Now, where were we? We're talking about the multiversal faction, talking about the lore, we're talking about again, live Q&A. If you have questions, throw them, shoot them. Yeah, we were in the spoiler territory. So the order that you play those 3 zines, this anthology series, greatly influences the other. Well, like if you're playing first Nether, will impact the other 2, story and resolutions greatly, and vice versa. So depending on the are there 2 playlists playing at the same time, or is it just me? No, it's just me. And sorry, I'm streaming. If you stream for more than 1 hour, I started to realize it's getting a bit more difficult. But I have a few more things that I want to share with this live stream and conclude all the fascinating ideas that I want to give to other narrators out there to incorporate to their Nether stories. So depending on the order that you play them and your vibe with the group and the characters, the moment that you enter might be different. There might be full of disciples running experiments, working on theorems. It might be only ghosts. It might be only black flames and the looming echo of the Concert Master Akkadi echoing across the library. So I've played it in different, and it has different styles, different resolutions, and gives interesting different antagonists, different roleplay options, discovery options. But yeah, we have definitely some different rooms, which will be the Hall of Inventions, the Great Library, which is gonna be like infinite stocks of papyrus scrolling upon another. And the characters of the players, the protagonists, can learn a whole lot about secrets of the multiverse and increase their lore and history and academics. And raising the music a bit down because it's a bit loud for me. And moving on to the spoiler territory. As for antagonists, there is a very interesting collection of antagonists found there, from all the anima that previously discussed, and to the ghost, to make it a little bit more personal, adding a little bit salt and pepper to your storytelling by including the ghosts of the past of the protagonists. So have they killed someone and they seek redemption, the narrator should present them with a chance to find that spirit and seek redemption or vengeance, or discover why you never sent me a message before you died, or whatever their personal story and tied with death it is. Or they might have lost their stuffed animal when they were a child and they will try to find it when they were here. Shout out to Tina. And or whatever the case, well, maybe they have forgotten something. Maybe they play a scientist, an inventor, and they were like one formula away from the Magnus Opus, how you call it. And they, speaking of Magnus Opus, 3 Neil, our first beloved VIP, joins us. Welcome, friend. We're talking about dark stories and about Nether and death and forbidden knowledge. Yeah, we were talking about spoiler territory. We're talking about all the things that you can discover there, the antagonists. Depending on the order of play, maybe the first type of antagonist might be enraged or even not accepting the fact that they have died. They could be animas, which are spirits of vengeance. Maybe the protagonists have killed someone and they do not like seek redemption, but rather escape vengeance, the spirit of vengeance shall be found there. But also the looming incarnations of annihilations, which are completely OP, and no matter the order of play that you play them, will be super challenging. Maybe if you like play them like Nether as a third part of the anthology and you have accumulated just enough XP to face them, they will make like a worthy adversary for the whole coalition. And but there are other dangers beside personal psychological trauma with facing your past or facing immeasurable odds against more powerful enemies. But there are also, you might be forgotten, you might lose your memories there, you might lose yourself in the process of discovering lost treasures of Nether. So it's a fascinating realm, but it ultimately culminates around unveiling the plot of the Concert Master Akkadi. So full blast spoiler territory now. The Concert Master Akkadi has activated one of the devices found there, an Atlantean electromagnetic device, I think it is, which creates this net of shadowing this particular library from the other members of the Sumerian kings. He does that because he has discovered something, vortexes caused in Nether when mass death occurs in materia. In Nether, there is an invisible vortex created, invisible even for the most entities found there. But if you have like the power level of a Concert Master, you are able to see it, and then you are able to, create your little like cult, like a sub-chapter of the Sumerian kings, and control them one way or another. And whether that could be through conviction or subterfuge or shared ideals, whatever the case, as a Concert Master, you can bend most to your will. And by opening a portal to the deeper layer of Nether upon one of those vortexes, you are able, the magistrate, the Concert Master Akkadi has discovered, you are able to get slingshotted much further into the past. Interesting discovery. Now imagine creating a very weird plan across significant historical locations and events, such as a great battle that happened to the ancient land of Alkelbulan, today's Africa, with thousands upon dying, and no one left to remember tell the story, but exists in Nether. This creates another great opportunity and a massive vortex that can slingshot you like way into the past. So the magistrate starts to create like a chronological and geographical map of events throughout space and time, because you need them both, not just a saying across space and time. No, you need both space and time to this to work. Into what end? How much do you want to get slingshotted? Well, the interesting part is that, I haven't get into the spoiler territory of the magistrate. I think it's a good time to start talking about spoiler territory, deep dive into the magistrate. The magistrate believes with all his heart that he is the founder of the first city, the founder of the Veil, founder of the first city of Metanthropes, the city that exists outside space and time, the city that energizes the opera, which is like the doorstep to that entire city, which exists outside space and time. And also the magistrate, which is a Concert Master, which exists in this power level, believes that the conductors, which is above, and they are the quest givers to the players, sending you to this mission, are not to be trusted, not with honesty, but also with the fate of the Metanthrope kind. and wishes to go against them, knows very well the institution and the ordeals and the introductory sessions that are being run into the opera, which is like in-game the conductors discovering other Metanthropes across the multiverse and introducing them to the fold, and then sending them to missions such as the one that they sent to meet him through the Akkadi's POV. And the magistrate also wants to escape this timeline. He considers it a prison, and also at some point the magistrate indeed does discover that their memories, his memories have been altered. So if there is any protagonist Metanthrope player who has like meta powers who can identify stuff, they will see that there is something definitely wrong, and not just madness or brilliance exuded by that character, but there is maybe some truth to what he's saying. Again, I don't want to give the full spoiler, the 5 resolutions or 10 or 3, whatever. I want to give you an idea to start brewing, because I'm still working on them and I want to play them with you, with our backers, after this campaign has ended, and incorporate your ideas into the game and help me make it exactly the way it deserves to become, to the level it deserves to become. And so the magistrate wants to get out, and in order to get out, the magistrate has figured out a crazy plan of slingshotting yourself through portals where vortexes are, up to the final vortex, which exists further into the past from any recorded history that we have today. And there is a city that exists there with 1 million population. 1 million population. Humanity as a whole hasn't reached until Rome, I think. And again, without spoiling everything, what's there and what's going on, you can check it out, the anthology series by RX Oliver, which if you want to get some further ideas. Again, Oliver is our... there you can find Oliver's links. And ultimately that's what the magistrate wants to do. He wants to escape. And also the magistrate, who is like one of the most knowledgeable characters that the protagonists are ever gonna meet, knows what a protagonist is. So what's the difference between a metanthrope controlled by a narrator and a metanthrope controlled by a player? This fourth wall breaking stuff is part of the game, and the magistrate possesses such meta powers and such knowledge, so he understands what exactly does it mean to be a protagonist metanthrope, how much they influence the story, like their lives of those around them, and knows that they are key and paramount to his ploy, but also knows that in this vastness of the multiverse, they are not the only protagonists that may come to his aid or to his damnation and shut down the machine, bring on the cavalry, conductors, come down. I found him. So there are many resolutions, whether you will choose to seek to roleplay more with the magistrate once you find him and learn if there is truth to what he's saying, and maybe discover some politics and some secrets about the other multiversal factions and the other conductor characters, and maybe you just help him set him free. And now, should you let Magistrate Akkadi free across all over the multiverse, there may be some consequences to the other 2 story zines, as it happens with all 3 anthology sagas and anthology zines. Taking part in this amazing Metanthropes anthology Kickstarter campaign, which is live right now. If you're watching this, you can see this number over here is live. So as I'm slowly signing off, you get a chance to back us now, believe in us, and watch the game designer scream live on TV, on Twitch TV. I really wish that will happen at least once. Will be great fun. And today we conclude. I hope we have given you enough fodder and enough ideas to run your own dark multiversal stories of Nether. Oops. And I hope that this has been informative as it was entertaining. I have been your narrator, John, your host and narrator, John. Metanthropes Anthologies is live for 2 weeks and some spare, 2 more weeks and some spare, up to the 25th of February. We're over halfway there, but we still need your support to make it to the finish line and bring these stories to reality. Excited 3 wants to sign me off, and definitely I will be signed off. I suppose, do we have enough for raid? Yeah, 5 is a fine number for raiding. I will raid the first people I see playing TTRPGs and not D&D, because D&D is boring and we as community must escape its clutches. Oh, we have a one that we very much like and we have seen before, raided before here. Excellent. So as we are beginning to raid, thank you so much for watching. Consider backing Metanthropes Anthologies now on Kickstarter. I have been your host and narrator, John. Stay legit and stay meta.